Hello, we're here live. I'm Dr. Crystal Gifford, and welcome to Faith, Money, and Adventure. The essence of this show is all about coming together in consistency. So, finding a way that we can come together with our thoughts, with our ideas, with what matters to us. And today, I want to share specifically with you about one adventure for me, which has been entrepreneurship. And as you may know, if you followed my channel at all, or if you're new here, this is a space for learning. This is a space for understanding and being shameless about money goals, about what you want. But most importantly, it's how do we get there? How do we create this adventure from life? And how do we then use money to create that adventure? So, today, in a short story, I want to share with you one of the things that's been going on with me in my entrepreneurial adventure, and hopefully a couple of tips that will drive this idea home for you and keep you in the game, even when sometimes it gets a little like not fun. So, if you are following me for the first time, I have a few more shows. So, like, follow, subscribe, all those things that people ask you to do. And I don't have sponsors here. We're just here in our channel. And my goal for you now is consistency. And so that my promise to you is that I'll show up every week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I can tell you it would be in the categories of faith, money, and adventure. I've been teaching for 20 some years at this point. So I have lots and lots of lessons, lots and lots of stories, and lots of things to share. But what I really care about most is what about you? I want lots and lots of success stories from you. So maybe you're in your entrepreneurial journey and you wonder what's going on? Why is it not working? Sometimes things aren't looking like I wanted them to look. And perhaps you don't know how to get started, how to stay in. Maybe you're ready to quit. Before you quit, let's talk about what faith does in your money journey. So, as an entrepreneur, as you know, you're stepping into an adventure, a life, a story, product, a service, something that you want to offer. So, first, you have to understand that offering something into the world in and of itself requires faith. You have faith that what you have has value and that the value of that other people can see it or you can translate it so they can see it. So here's the biggest thing. When you're talking about faith and religion and all the things, and there's a million interpretations, it seems like, for one little thing, one little passage of a verse or scripture or Torah or Quran. I don't know what you guys call that. I'm sorry. But I grew up on the Bible, but I love the study of faith. And so I have more knowledge, and you'll hear a lot of those Bible drops because that's where my heart grew up, and that's what I grew up on. But perhaps I have a promise out there for a Quran. Someone is going to send me so I can actually know what's there. So we'll see if that happens, or eventually maybe I'll buy my own. But I love gifts, so I love learning and studying from things that were given to me because it feels like I'm expanding the energy of the person who gave that gift as I enjoy the gift. So that's a shameless plug for sending me materials if you'd like, so that you can share your faith with me. So in my faith journey, I grew up as, if you've been following my channel at all, I've grew up as a pastor's daughter. And I had a lot of faith journey in there. But the thing was, I had a lot of judgment. And, today, this is an unscripted show. I just wanted to launch and get started. And so I just want to share with you my story of faith and a little bit of that journey. And yesterday I went to get a brain scan, and it was amazing how this man told me my life story in my young age. And he could see the things, and he said there's some part of you that when you interact with other people, you immediately, according to my brainwaves, this is not like a conscious decision because it doesn't make any sense based on who I know I am, but it did make sense based on what I've seen from the response of people. I was like, oh, there's some unconscious behaviors there. And so that involved the training of the brain that happens. And so I'm bringing this back to faith. So I grew up in a very Christian religion. And then at the age of 13, I met the boy who would become the father of my children. We were married for quite a few years, 12 years, I think, and we have two sons. And so, in that, at a young age of 13, while I wasn't really developed, I started hanging out with this boy and making him my boyfriend and all those things that you do at 13. But from a very I was a very young 13. So I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't, when I was like, oh, I don't think this is for me, I didn't know how to end it. And it wasn't at anyone's fault. We were just young people who didn't have a lot of exposure or experience in the world. And so my faith was tested. And eventually I did manage to change that relationship, gain the freedom, free us from, and there's nothing wrong with the place where we were. It just wasn't a fit for us. And I felt very restricted, very cultish, very do it our way or you're nobody. Again, this is my experience. This is not to diminish their experience, but where I grew up, when, from my dad's perspective, we were hippie pastors. And so my dad was a pastor. We drove all around the country. He sang, he preached. My mom helped sometimes. And I wrote stories and played in the back of the church because I was a kid. And so what happened in this brain scan, that I did not know that faith was affecting my ability to translate something into money. And full disclosure, I am really, really, really good with money, like really good. I can take a little bit of money and make an entire life from it. I have skills that surprise me about how to get something and like a lot of something out of a little bit. And yet, in my life, I have always, up until recently, had to work hard. Like, it's like, why do I have to work so hard just to be able to gain like this little bit, if I'm working a job for someone else, no problem. I know how to teach. As a professor, it's easy. You show up, they put students in your class, you teach. But as an entrepreneur, it's our job to go get the students to put them in the class. And so that's been the faith test for me, is like, how do I display this message in a way that shows people I have something of value? And part of the reason for this show is personal. It is, I want to start speaking until my words become clear. And thank you if you're here for the very first one in this new level of commitment. It's 2024, just stepping into the new year, and I'm committed to doing a show every week this year. I don't expect that many people are going to watch this one, so if you're here, thank you so much. And it'll just get better because I will get more succinct, more polished, I guess, is what I'm looking for. And also set up a proper studio because I have a house full of people today. I'm in, in a separate room and just kind of one little space. So working on all those pieces. But why did I start today? Because I committed. And one of the things I've learned about adventure is that adventure only comes when you commit to it. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but a lot of people watch adventure pass them by because of stories, because of trauma, because of maybe bad experiences, maybe fear. Fear is a big one. Most people pass adventure because of fear, and I feel fear every single day. I feel fear about something, and I do it anyway. And now that I understand my brain scans, what's happening in my brain is because of deep training and religion. Even though I have, like, my faith is so big, I can believe in absolute miracles. I've seen them in my life, so why wouldn't I believe in them? And so my faith can be so big, but it doesn't always translate. And so that's a big hit, right? When your faith is big and life doesn't translate the way you thought it was going to translate, boom, okay, that hurt a little or a lot. And because of this training in my mind, and this was a subconscious thing and decisions I made as a young person, the brain waves of my life are when I'm alone, when I'm contemplating, and I guess I can meditate and on a drop of a dime and drop myself right down in state within 2 seconds. But what happens is, as long as I'm in that space where I'm in control of the environment, there's calmness, there's alpha state, there's access to the divine. And it made so much sense because externally, once I start interacting with people, What he showed me in my brain scans, not told me about me because of some birthday, in my own brain waves, shared with me that when I start to interact with other people, there's this uptick in the energy. Like I get excitable, right? And I can tell it. I've always known when I start to talk to people, I get excited. Next thing you know, I'm like 100 miles an hour. What are you saying, Crystal? Slow down. And the brain scans showed me that what's really happening is I get hyper vigilant once I start interacting with someone because I want to do it right, because I want to do it well, because I want to perform for them. Now, that consciously is not the case. I love people. I interact with people all the time. I'm that person who will walk up and talk to people. Yet internally, something inside of me goes into stress mode when I do that. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Well, apparently, I've been doing that way more than I realized. So, why am I sharing all this with you? I want you to understand that first and foremost, if you want adventure in your life, you have to be willing to jump into something you don't know. It's not an adventure if you already know all the answers. So, you have to be willing to kind of take a leap into the unknown. If you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks all about the unknown, going into the void, going into the field where all that you want to create is possible, and you can bring it back to your now. And if you understand that adventure really is going out into that unknown, like, what's this going to be? What's it going to mean? I'm not sure. And then bringing with you a sense of trust. And what is trust? Faith. Faith that it's going to be okay. Faith that whatever you're doing will lead you to the right direction. Faith that you can and you will. Faith that other people will show up to support you along the way. There are so many little pieces of faith that have to happen to take an adventure. And it's no different in entrepreneurship. And so to bring this full circle and wrap it up for today, the entrepreneurship piece of this, when you leap out with a business and you're going to launch a business, and you have something to share with the world and it's yours. It's just like your story. Take a minute right now. What is that story? What's yours? What is your story? And what is the piece of it that you believe has power to make a difference in the world? And then when you start to say, okay, that's my true story, and then you find yourself going out to become an entrepreneur and you find out, oh, there's like a lot of other stories going on in here. And maybe you do a brain scan like I did and find out there's even more story than you realized coming from way, way, way back. And also from the transition when I stepped into adolescence at 13, getting with someone whose rules were even more restrictive than my own parents. So faith became now a burden. And so it was confusing for a while. And if you're in that confusion, like, what is faith? What does it mean to me? I don't even know what I believe. Do I believe in God? Maybe. Yeah, kind of, sort of. I used to. Wherever you are in that, it's okay because it is the testing of you as a person of faith. And that faith can be in anything, in yourself, in your God, in your higher purpose, in the earth, in anything. The faith is a belief that you have not seen, right? It's the knowing. Faith isn't, I hope so, and I think it's going to work out, and I'm going to roll some dice and see. Faith is, I can't tell you how because I don't have that answer yet, but I am certain. Faith is certainty without evidence. And when you begin to have certainty, even before the evidence comes, you begin to step into something that will allow faith to blossom, allow faith to open doors for you, allow faith to make your life more fun. And if you followed me at all, you know that I love a few things. Of course, money, I love education and economics, or what I call money and learning. I love money and learning. Like I've dedicated my entire life to two things, money and learning. I'm an educator. I love education. I have a curriculum for high school kids to help them launch into life because I care about the adventure of life. Like, yeah, you can have a career. There are 1,000 people who are going to help you with your career piece. But what about the people who prepare you for the actual living of the life? The how do I earn money while I'm figuring out my career part? The how do I have more fun while I'm figuring out my career part? The how do I set up my life in the way that makes sense for me and not necessarily the norms of everyone else kind of prep. And so I know I'm good at that. And I launched it, and now we're taking it into charter schools and small universities. And I have faith, right? I'm here in faith. What does that mean? It means I'm not over here. I hope this works. I hope we figure it out. Maybe we don't have the right marketing at first because I'm not a marketer. I'm an educator, and I know money, and I know adventure. Those are the three things I know well. I don't know marketing that well. So guess what? I get to go on the adventure of marketing. Can I make marketing my game, my adventure, that I can reach out to the world? And this show is in part a response to that because I don't like marketing. I don't like it at all. And but I love teaching. And what I realized is maybe if I just do the thing I know and I can hop on here once a week and share with you a little bit of wisdom around money, faith, and adventure, then just maybe that flow will allow me to start figuring out marketing. Just maybe that flow will allow someone, you out there who's looking to build a course and leverage your work, to say, hey, can you help me? I heard you build courses and you're really an expert at curriculum build. Can you help me? Or perhaps one of you out there in these long chats that I do every week will hear that, hey, she can do what? Oh, I got a lot of money coming in now, but I'm not feeling certain. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling anxiety about how I am using my money. Maybe you'll hear that in one of these shows and say, oh, I know who can help me. Because those are two things I can help people with: leveraging your work in your IP into a course and building a curriculum and building a business around it so it actually becomes money, and or helping you to understand how to make decisions with that money once you have the money. And that's my lane. And when I understood my lane, like, what are the things I do well? And it's not one thing. And that whole like focus is important when you're building something. I'm not growing a money course right now. I built it. It's available. You can buy it. But I'm not building a money track right now. I'm in the course of my curriculum, launching that in a new way. So right now I'm focused on that. But the truth is, and because I have seeds in the world, every now and then a client comes through, can you help me? I come into all this money and I need some help. Yes, of course, I can do that in a private way. And so focus while you're exploring is something I would invite you to do. So I'm focused in the curriculum. We're launching as a business the curriculum. Still, I'm exploring. And what am I exploring with? What if I got consistent on YouTube? I don't know what that means. I'm not a marketer, and it's certainly not a marketing tactic for me because you guys are long past the marketing piece. If you're still here, you're actually enjoying or learning, or one of those people who just won't quit. So whatever that is, thank you so much for being here. And I invite you, take a little nibble of faith today and say, what can I do with this? Ask yourself, what's the adventure that you could go on if you just let yourself have that little bit of faith? And then if your adventure is a business or a product or something you want to launch or something you want to put into the world, then reach out and share with us what you're doing. We love to hear your stories, and we'd love to feature you because I'm going to be doing this every week. Maybe perhaps some of you reach out and you say, hey, I have a story to tell. I'd be happy to feature you on this YouTube live as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I believe in you. Go get your faith, go put it in your pocket, and go have an adventure and enjoy all the money that comes your way as a new you. Until next time.